Welcome everyone to our session today. This will be recorded and made available to everyone. So if you don't get to see it today or would like to go back and see something again, you'll be able to do that. As I get started here today, I'm one of the many civil team members here at IMAGINiT, and I'll be driving this session here today. What I'm going to start off by saying is I'm not going to cover anything new in AutoCAD, the base platform. Ryan did that for us a week or two back, and you can find that again on our same resources page for IMAGINiT, and you can go back and take a look at what's available in AutoCAD. I highly recommend for you go look at that because there's some cool little things inside of there that you might enjoy and some things that might surprise you. So I will let Ryan do that work for me when you go to see his presentation. What we're going to be looking at here is Civil 3D and what's new inside of it. Now, I'm actually going to start by backtracking just a little bit, and I'm going to talk about what was new on 2023.2, the update patch that hopefully you guys were on it or maybe didn't even know that you had it installed. If you installed it just for performance purposes to make things better, maybe you were running into an error and you weren't aware of what was new then. So I want to talk about that because it's going to set up things that were introduced in a previous release and were enhanced in 24. So it sets the ground up for me to move forward. And what I want to talk about here is the fact that 2023.2 added corridor transitions, great tools to create and edit, also to import and export transitions to the corridor to make designs quicker and better, great for things like widenings or driveways. There were also a lot of performance enhancements that were done for 23.2 that one of them was the adaptive labeling. Similar to level of detail, what they did for grids and surfaces, but this is specifically for label. And it doesn't happen everywhere. The place you can see it the most is alignments and profiles, and we'll take a look at that. Generically, with 23, that release and patch, we were faster in opening, better at rebuilding corridors or updating sections or sample lines and editing and moving and dealing with pipe networks, specifically pressure pipe networks. You've noticed perhaps an update on that. Autodesk actually published and pushed out there, side-by-side comparisons of opening a drawing in an earlier release, pre this patch and after it, so you can even see those on the web. The sub-assembly composer was updated. I'm not sure how many of you guys are creating custom subs, but we have the ability in this release to be able to import and export codes, more specifically custom codes if you want to add something new, to do a final replace on them, and also to note a version of the sub-assembly composer. So it pushes out, not only do a save as, but quite literally a field that you can put a version to the sub-assembly to make sure that your drawings that you're working with, you'll see what version that sub-assembly is on. New to profiles are bands, specifically to be able to see at the bottom a reference alignment and how far offset alignment number 1 and alignment number 2 would be, and Kogo point data. I've been playing with these a little bit, and I can't quite always get them to work, so hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that in a minute here. Project Explorer, the new tool set. It's actually in 2024 a part of the Civil software, and that was enhanced because now we were able to run reports on catchments and more specifically also on property sets. And the connectivity of pressure pipes to a gravity structure. You're able to now bridge the gap of a pipe to a structure. That I think is really cool. So with the 2023.2 update, you'll see a bit of time savings that if you've added in there, you'll see better, smoother performance in openings and closing, and a little bit more with flexibility and control, specifically with what we're able to do with the corridor. So let's take a quick peek at this here in my presentation. Let's jump over here into Civil, and let's see what's new with 2023.2. And what I'm going to start talking about here is the fun part, dealing with corridor transitions. Now I'm just going to pick a location here on my screen. I'm going to do an easy kind of widening inside of here. All I have to do is select the corridor, and up here what I have the ability is to select a corridor transition. And as I start that up, it's going to tell me, hey, what do you want to work off of? I want to work off this right here. And I get a whole palette to do this here, guys. And what I have then is the ability of creating new transitions. we're adding transitions. So if you look at the ribbon down here, it tells me what sub-assembly I want to work with. See how the corridor highlights? I'm going to pick on the pavement. And it sets which particular parameter within that pavement piece you want to edit or speak to. Let's deal with the width of it, something easy. It's going to ask me, hey, where do you like to start? I'm going to hear somewhere near station 5. And what parameter would we like to do there? We're adjusting width, right? So let's go here 24. And where would we like this to end? And I'm going to pick over here somewhere around station 6. And there it is. It highlights for us. And I'm going to have it be 24 at that station as well. And it lists up here. It's a dynamic behavior between what I see on the screen to what I have in this grid. If I want to zero out values, I can start doing sorry, I still need to keep reading the command line here. Enter the transition type, linear. Do you want to do a taper? Several little options out of here. Let's do the basic linear one. And have the ability to continue working inside of here. Select N for the next transitional point here. Let's go here and select, how about we type it in? Let's go here to, let me turn my DYN off. This works a little bit better with DYN off, 650. And there's a design. Here you can see it on my panorama box. If you want to even out some values, I have that ability of doing that inside of here. Let's see that here. Station 504, let's make it be a nice even 500. I want to end this at station 600. And from then 600 on forward. And what you see on the screen here is nothing much happening. It's just typing right now. If you want to see this actually happen, you can apply it. And then you see the design changes happen there for you. Boom, 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 boom. It's straightforward, easy. I don't have to create an alignment and a profile and a target and a this and a that. It's all built in directly for the corridor. Now, the really, really awesome part inside of here, we can do a lot of complexities as far as the type of designs that I want to do, the type of transitions and what specifically parameters you're adjusting. We can flatten, we can widen, we can stretch, we can push, we can pull. And what we can also do here is take all this information and export it and import it. What if you wanted to do option number 1 and option number 2 and not necessarily create a whole brand new drawing or corridor? I have the ability of exporting, either pushing in or pushing out designs. So I'm going to go here and choose to import. It tells me, hey, I'm about to overwrite what I did here. I should have exported out as a save, but it's okay. I'm going to go out here and figure out a previous corridor transition I was working with, and I can pick this sucker up. Bada bing, bada boom. I do get the previous width, and I'm dealing with the curbing here. I'm adjusting the height of the curb and the depth of the curb. So I'm actually going to create a little driver here right quick, and I'm just going to choose to apply that design. And if you blink, you missed it. I'm actually doing now widening here at the beginning. You can see how I'm a little bit wider here at the beginning with a transition. And I'm dealing with my curbing inside of here. You can see how it flattens out, and I can create a little driveway section for myself. So that's how quick and easy it is to work with the new update to 2023.2, dealing with corridor transitions. Hopefully you'll like that sucker here. All right, let's see what else we got going on. Okay, adaptive labeling. This is new to this release. Now, it was an update to 2023.2, but it reminds me of what we used to be able to do over here. With, you guys remember this sucker right over here, the level of detail that worked with surfaces? Right, if you're dealing with, I don't know, 200 acres worth of information there, you can see how those contours pop for me. And that was called the LOD, or level of detail. And you really can't control what the surface does or the iteration it's going for you, but you guys can hopefully see how the surface is doing a little something, something. And you can see this here again from this was a previous update, the current releases that we're looking at here. From the drop down here, being able to show that level of detail. And we can see that little button that gets over here. So if you like or don't like that, you can disable or enable that. I have had people like it, enjoy it, or get into somebody else's drawing and freaks them out. What I want to talk about here is the alignment itself. See how the alignment has labels and all of a sudden they stop here? Well, that's because I've engaged this little button down here now. With that update, we get a new icon here at the bottom. And what I have here is the ability of either choosing to redraw every time I zoom and I pan, or redraw upon a regen for me here. So I can tell it go out here and regenerate or redraw the labels in this grouping for the grid that I'm looking at right now. See the view that I had there? Let's come over here where there's no labels whatsoever. And I can just say, hey, how about we redraw them right now right here. it makes for potentially a much quicker design, a much quicker display. I have had clients who've done things like 90 kilometers worth of roads for just a lot of roadway length there. And having that much detail pop on your screen can then adversely affect performance, which will also happen here for profiles. If I have that option up here, I have the option to redraw them and they pop for me. Or instead of having them always up there, I can redraw as I pan and zoom. So as I start panning around, labels start popping for me. So the software is having to host less data as I move forward and around. But it may take now a little bit longer because it does have to actually run through and show those labels off for me. So that's the new feature. Down here is kind of sneaky, kind of hidden, and it may, if somebody did enable it and all of a sudden you see this weird behavior, why are my labels disappearing? That's the button you want to go ahead and focus on. Great for making really Civil 3D perform faster. Let's see what else we have inside of here. The ability to deal with the subassembly composer. I'm not sure how many of you guys are working with the subassembly composer. Where is my subassembly composer? Let me see if I can open it up. Subassembly composer 2024. Let me just open this sucker right here. And I'm going to open up a file. Let's see here for 23. Go back here. What I want to show off here, I'm not sure how many of you guys are using this box, but it's an incredibly complex box here for designing your own sub-assemblies. And I've seen people do incredible magic from what's out of the box to what you can do inside of here. All I want to show off here is the fact that if you are defining codes and maybe you mistype something or maybe you need to rename something, what I can do inside of here is start defining my own custom codes. So if you want to create your own, instead of, if you remember out of the box, it's ETW for edge of travelway, you can call it edge of pavement. And you can create your new codes, or if you already have a couple of them already preset for you, you can go ahead and import them in, and you can assign your own code sets inside of here. Or if you find that you are using this a lot and you're creating a lot of sub-assemblies, maybe from scratch, or maybe you find yourself building a good list of custom codes, you can add them up, import them, export them, and you have a good list to run on here. Now, what you also have here is the ability in that release is to go out here and do a find and replace. So if you're looking for something, I don't know, I'm just going to do edge inside of here. You can find where that particular code appears. So if you're trying to do an edit, I want to see where that particular code was used inside of here so you can see how it's being recalled, how items are being connected. If you're having a little bit of trouble of, kind of troubleshooting your code, you can do this inside of here, or also do a find and replace, edge or edge of pavement or ETW. You can go ahead and run through that design. You have a little bit more what we're used to tools using in a lot of our standard documents like AutoCAD or even an Excel or Word document, a find and replace. I like this tool set here if you guys are using these custom sub-assemblies. Now, we will talk about custom sub-assemblies in just a little bit for 2024, and we will talk about the quarter transitions as well in 2024. But let's keep on moving forward here. Let's see what else we have. The ability of adding bands here at the bottom. Now, that's brand new here. If you look at the settings configuration, I now have over here under the profile views, I have now a couple more band styles that I'm able to use, more specifically, the alignment proximity and point proximity. And what you're able to do is take the corridor over here, or the profile view, excuse me, and under the bands tab, you have the ability of adding in alignment proximity and point proximity, which will give you a band and a distance and a station to where you're at. So as I start looking at something like this, I could take a peek at, what am I looking at here? Okay, what is the station? Around station 9300, right around here, I can see that I have a point, and the point that me showing off here as what looks like a benchmark is being lit up, and it starts at station 932.2, and it's about 1.5 feet away from the center line. So it can mark points that are around that particular alignment. And we do have control. It's not going all over the place here. If you look at the profile properties, we do have the ability of calling for a particular point group. So if there is a point group for stakeout, maybe catch basins, maybe looking at property corners, you can create a very specific point group and call upon in your profile view and get that listing in the grid so you can get an idea of where your design is going. Let's see what else we have inside of here. Let's see here. Project Explorer. So what happens in this year release for Project Explorer is the fact that we can now run reports on catchments and property sets. I'm not sure if you guys are using property sets inside of the Civil software. This was added a while back, so you can append to either Civil or AutoCAD objects your own property sets for your custom fields. A lot of times people say that they're missing maybe a diameter, or a type, or a material. You can create your own property sets. And I'm not sure if you're using the Project Explorer, which was a tool set that was added into basic AutoCAD. It is a auxiliary window that allows you to still design and be inside of AutoCAD and pretty much take a look at the type of elements that we're drawing. Not only to see, we're also able to edit if you guys have seen presentations on this. But what I'm going to show that the update in 2023.2 is the fact that I can run reports on catchments and what would be property sets. And that was the new addition to this release of the software. You can create those type of reports and run them. And I've been tinkering around with mine too many times, and I think I broke something. But that's the new addition inside of here if you happen to be using Project Explorer. Let's see what else we have inside of here. Oh, yes. The most fun part in this year release of the software is the fact that I have a gravity network shown here in a SOAR in green. And you'll notice that this is a gravity network. I can go in here to the properties of the structure. It's just a standard, what looks like a manhole inside of here. And you can see that this manhole is being labeled. Its name is LS1, station 0, rim elevation, and an in of the PVC gravity that's coming in here. Now, I have a pressure network coming here, a run, if you see it here. And if I take this run and take this pipe and choose to add it into that structure, let me take this pipe right here real quick. And what I'm going to do to it is going to choose to connect to my structure. And I'm going to take a pressure pipe connected to a Civil 3D gravity manhole and pop that sucker right on in there. And you can see in 3D how it came together. That structure understands that it has a pipe tied to it. So its label over here comes in, hey, I have another invert coming in here, which is a pressurized 8-inch. This is new to the 2023.2 update, the fact that I can have these elements speak to each other like this. It is awesome. All right, so that was that for the what was new back then in 2023.2. If you're not running on 24 and you're on 23, make sure you're running on that service pack and you're able to do all those cool little things that I just showed you right now. So let's get into the meat and potatoes for today that I really wanted to get into, and that is the what's new now for 2024. And overall, we have civil design efficiencies here. The sub-assemblies got some updates, not only in the composer, but on the civil side as well. Project Explorer got an enhancement as well. Pressure networks were enhanced to work a little bit better in this year release, a couple little add-ons. Just overall general performance enhancements, just to make the civil software run smoother, quicker, faster. Designing with GIS, I'm not sure if you guys are using the GIS connector. I found one of the issues that I was having with Civil 3D is creating basic AutoCAD elements. I had to actually use basic AutoCAD to connect to GIS and bring lines, arcs, and circles. I'm not able to do it natively within Civil 3D. Dealing with, again, corridor transitions. I want to talk about that again, that what was added or enhanced in 2024. All right. Rail has also been enhanced in this year release. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to get into that one or be showing it today. Let's talk about some of the civil design efficiencies that we have inside of here. And the first one I want to talk about is using custom sub-assemblies. Whether you path out to them and load them, you're continuously modifying them yourself, or if you do push it out to your team and it does get an update, what could potentially happen from within the software so you can start seeing those updates. And what I want to talk about inside of here is potentially adding them in, making changes, and coming back into the civil software. So let's take a quick peek at this on how this works out. And if you're not doing this, that's quite all right. If you're not using this powerful tool set, That's all right. It's just, it has been enhanced. It is a little bit deeper, but let's take a look at what we're able to do here with custom sub-assemblies. And what I'm going to show off here is that we have the ability to call out the path of those custom sub-assemblies wherever they might reside. So as you call out for that tool path, any updates should be updated to your palette, whether it's, I believe this is supported at a network level. So if I take a look at this tool palette here, what I should have is my tool palette with my custom sub-assembly already loaded into it. Did I not create it already? Let's create it here real quick. I'm just going to go here and then go out and browse and find the sub-assembly. How about I go here and say insert, import the sub-assembly that I want. And I'm going to grab it from the, let's grab the 23, what's new. I'm going to grab that packet right there. And I'm going to create, ooh, do I not have a custom one? There it is, 2024 new. Oh, I did have it up there, haha. So I have a whole tab dedicated for my own custom sub-assemblies. And as I work through the subassembly, I'm just going to go ahead and activate it, and I'm just going to have it be up here detached. And there it is. You can see how it's modeled and readily available. I like what it tells me on screen here. It's going to tell me, you should be able to see the version it tells you. It says version 1. On screen here for the Prospector tab, I can see that under the subassembly that I have working on here, it even tells me a little bit of data from it. And it tells me where it's coming from. Yes, I have it stored to my local C drive. The idea is if I take this subassembly, start modifying it, I believe it's the same one inside of here, and start making changes to it. Let's make a change inside of here. I'm going to make a, I'm going to make it from 4 to 5 for the width, from 4 to 5 to the width, and hit save here. Oh, let me also update version 2. It should save. Access is denied. Why is it denied? Did I lock it? I may have it locked. Darn it. If I have it locked, I won't be able to make changes to it. Let me see if I can unlock it real quick here, guys. What's new for 2023? I think I have that feature locked. It may throw up an error. Let me see if I can close it and open it up again. If I can unlock it to then make edits to it. I lock a lot of my data so I don't accidentally make changes to it, but when I want to show a change, I'm in a bad spot. All right, here, let's try this again. Subcomposer, make sure we work with 2024. Let's open this sucker right here. And I can start looking at maybe some of the parameters I was using with it. Close off some of my windows from before. Let's see, I want to do 5 feet, I want to do 5 feet, and perhaps change this to version 2. Now I should be able to save. And out of Civil, if I run a refresh, it tells me that my sub-assemblies are out of date. And I should be able to hear and say update all assemblies, and those would be updated on my screen. If I had any profiles, excuse me, if I had any corridors drawn from it, it will update those as well. Oh, come on, just update all of them. And those should be seen immediately. And for some reason, software is being a little finicky here and not allowing me to, I think it's because it was locked originally when I created it. It gave me an issue there. And it should also give me the fact that, there it is, I have a update 2 of it. So that should all work out for me. So there you can see that it says update of version 2 as an update. I think because I had it originally locked and then I unlocked it, it gave me a little hiccup there. But that's what we're able to do with the software, is maintain a link, not have to shut down, open up, re-import, resave. It's relinked to it because it understands that this particular sub-assembly, when I add it to the drawing, it understands where it came from, and I'm able to easily update it because it understands that that's the path where it's at. So I can go back and say update it, and my cross sections, my corridors would update as far as that sub-assembly comes into my drawing. All right, so it's a powerful tool set that has been enhanced, so we're easily able to update our changes throughout our designs. I think because mine was locked, it had a bit of a headache there trying to show it off for me here. I have Project Explorer as well. Now, I saw the fact that I could run reports on catchments is the option I had here a little bit ago. But what we have in this year release is that in this 2024, you don't have to go out there and download it again and install it onto Civil 3D. It should just install with the Civil 3D 2024. And in this particular release of the software, what's going to happen inside of here is it now has a new property set tab that allows us to work with it. And if I jump over here to Civil 3D and try to show that off, let's see here, 2024, and I'll be able to see property sets. What I should be doing this year release here is under the Home tab. There is the Project Explorer button. And if I pick on the Project Explorer button, it should all load up. And what I have here is a whole tab dedicated to property sets. So if you end up creating property sets in your software over here, again, that was the ability of creating more specific user property sets to give yourself a bit more robust background data on your objects. This is what we're able to do because that object can have all that extra data and can also be labeled, but it can also be reported on in this year release. So I have the ability of showing that property set and if need be, creating reports of it in this particular year release. So it's a new tab, and now it just installs with this year release of it. So it was updated in 23.2 and slightly enhanced in 2024. It just gives us an interface to make changes quicker or report on Civil 3D objects a lot quicker. So even if you don't understand Civil 3D too much, this new tool called Project Explorer should help you navigate your drawings. All right, a little bit more with pressure networks. Yeah, it gave us the awesome ability to connect in the previous set. But now we have is the ability of defining a extra view in plan view for displaying vertical bends a little bit differently. I'm not sure if you remember having those vertical bends when they get twisted, they get slightly crazy view of an angle. Now we have the ability of adding in a block to show off a vertical bend. We have the ability of adding in a hatch pattern now to our fittings and appurtenances in plan view, where before it was just the object itself. And being able to automatically look at the vertical rotation for branch fittings to align with the branch of a pipes and run those slopes. Also, we're able to connect a pipe run to another pipe run at a T, Y, or across, and we'll be able to do a little bit more specifically being able to run more effectively and smoother and quicker as far as edits go in this particular year release. So just a quick display on what happened here for this year release of the Civil software. Let's take a look at this 2024. I have some pipes that I want to talk about here. Where are you? Here we go. So looking at these elements, if I take a look at the style, I have the ability of engaging. Let me go here and edit that fitting style. The fact that if that fitting were to rotate here, I have the ability of changing how it looks like. Let me go here to the settings tab. And under pressure networks, I have fittings and appurtenances. So I can start looking at the stylization for them. And if I change that, let me see here. But it gives me the option of adding in that user-defined block for plan view and also for a vertical bend. So I have a new row item here to deal with if you are putting vertical bends and seeing it where it's at within the style. So I pretty much got a new block. So you have a horizontal and a vertical bend preview. So if you have a block to make it look horizontally and make it look vertically, I have that ability for the plan view of it. So it doesn't get all skewed in plan view. Also the fact that I can go here and add hatching. If you edit that style under the stylization over here, I now have a whole checkbox here where we had seen it available in other views, but now we have it in plan view. So you should see it now populate the fact that I can add a hatch pattern to that design there. All right, that was that update there, and let's see what else we have. Okay. Design with sustainability in context. What that means over here is dealing with ARCGIS. I'm not sure if you guys are using the ARCGIS connectivity. It requires to, yes, have an account, have a user, have a login, have a place to put all this information at. But if you happen to have ARCGIS and an account set up, we're able to pull information. Now, what we have here is inside of Civil 3D, in earlier releases, if you tried to bring into Civil 3D, it would only want to create things like alignments. It would want to create maybe Civil 3D data, but now we have the ability of just creating basic AutoCAD elements. So this is what we get. I was wanting to have that. So in earlier releases, there used to be a workflow. You had to go to AutoCAD and have basic AutoCAD installed and run the GIS connector to bring in AutoCAD elements. There's a configuration set, so you can have things go to the appropriate layer, appropriate look. And as you're importing into Civil 3D, it does support the functionality of ARCs here. So if you do happen to have this, let's see if I can jump back into Civil over here. Let me go into this ARC connectivity here. So that is under the, let's see here, insert. It is under, where are you? I often miss it. Is it insert? Here it is, the ARCGIS connector. And I'm already signed into mine. And my drawing's already set. So as that loads up, come on, connect to it. And no, it doesn't remember me. Great. Let me grab my username and password. There's me. And there we go. So I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that's kind of the data that I'm going to pull in here. And I'm just going to get really, really tight on some areas inside of here to just pull within this area. If I'm way too zoomed out, it might bring in a little bit too much data. There is public content. There's content that might be available in my group or part of my organization. In this case, I have my own personal content. I'm going to bring in the streets of Wake County. And it's for the entire county, so hopefully it only does it for this little area here. And as it runs through it, it does give me the ability of dealing with that line work. See, in earlier releases, it would only create civil elements. I was stuck with bringing in alignments, and all of a sudden, my drawing would become very heavy and all these objects crisscrossing each other. But now I have AutoCAD as an option, and I can just bring in AutoCAD polylines. If it happened to be a feature, a water line, maybe looking at simple things like maybe intersections, or maybe a utility, or maybe just a stop sign, I can bring just AutoCAD objects inside of here. And let's see if I can add it into my design. It does give me the options to create design sets. So if I was often doing this and bringing in a lot of data, I can have my line work go to the appropriate layer, go to the appropriate stylization. In my case, I'm just defaulting inside of here. But as I go ahead and choose to import this data, this is the, oh, there it is. I did choose a small area for Wake County, and it just brings in that line work. So it then brings here just regular standard AutoCAD line work for me. I like that because in earlier releases, is having to do something like this, it would always want to create civil objects using Civil 3D. And sometimes I just wanted to get just the basic AutoCAD line work. So the workflow of having to go into AutoCAD no longer exists. All right, let's see what else we got inside of here. The next portion, digitization of existing transportation system. Oh, that's easy. I like this one, the corridors. With corridors, I showed that just a little bit ago. What we get with this release that we didn't have before is the fact that we can lock maybe length or transitions or allow easy movement and transitions along the baseline. We can rearrange our transitions to put something above and below, or also it supports the zooming and panning in this release. It does support the backend use of API for creating those transitions. The fact that we can actually export and import, there is a file that we can deal with, and we can also have the support now for creating transitions by selecting the .NET class name of that particular design. Pretty much reducing the time that we spend inside of here. So let's go back into Civil. And where was I doing that transition? Let's go down over here. And all I want to show off is the fact that I have a corridor and I have that transition that I was working with before. And I want to work with that baseline, and I can see that transition being shown off inside of here. So as I'm looking at this design, I can state what happens first or next inside of here. See those little collectors that I have there? I can choose to bring that item up or down on the list, so I can see what on the list showing it first or second. That's really what all I'm showing off there. See that lane there, down there? Now it's at the bottom of the list. I can see that basic split that I have inside of my corridor here for putting in a driveway section, because you may have gone inside of here and added design, and on the list it's kind of out of order. You want to put the first 3 designs in place. Maybe you did the widening and then went back and did the driveway section. You can reorder items. What you could also do inside of here, start looking at the design that you put in place, and you see the little lock that pops on the edge there. See the little lock? I can lock that design so I can no longer change it. Or if you're looking at maybe changing a distance there, you're able to change those little lock patterns for myself. Also, if you don't understand where this is happening, because your design can be really large and you're dealing with you have a machine that can support an entire subdivision, I can choose to right click and do a zoom to. And what we were used to or have been used to inside of pretty much all Civil 3D interfaces. Reorder, lock, and zoom to. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The fact that we can create it from an earlier release, and now that we can really do something with it. And that's what you see inside of the Civil software packages. They'll release a tool that's really awesome, and then we start looking for ways to make it better, and Autodesk then releases it. So if you weren't aware of the tool, the update may not make too much sense. So hey, there's the option for transition here. Now, I don't have a lot of clients running Rail. I have about a handful of clients that call me about Rail. Turnout APIs have been added to allow users to create and edit simple turnouts. Import design data from other software to use within Civil 3D hasn't been added. And to be able to use owner or company-specific drawing standards within Civil 3D has also been added. So I'm not sure if you guys are doing Rail design. I don't have a really jump demo into that. But that's what I the major updates for 2024 in this year release.